Throughout the day, there is one activity we all engage in without even being fully aware that we are doing it. It's the act of remembering. Different from memorization, about trying to recall something I need to do or get or respond. Not memorization, remembering. We're always remembering something during the day. Our mind being drawn somewhere to some past experience, something that affects our understanding of attainment. Either our mind is pulled to remember something we perceive as a source of attainment, or our mind is pulled to remember something we perceive as blocking attainment. Either way, this subtle, constant act of remembering in the day is shaped by the seeking of attainment. And the things I'm remembering, they're all temporal things, things that will come and go. I am seeking attainment from temporary things. The wise would seek attainment from something far more reliable. That which is constant, eternal, unaffected by time. And that is the realm of truth. To go through the day remembering the truth as my source of attainment. The truth about myself, the truth about others, the truth about how the world actually works. The truth is not opinions, impressions, ideas, philosophies. The truth is that which is eternal. And it's such a profound source of attainment to experience that which is eternal. Brings stability, security, safety. It elevates our mind and heart beyond the petty, beyond the day-to-day. Remembering what is eternal about myself, beyond the roles and responsibilities, beyond the image, beyond the body. And this applies to others too. My vision on others, remembering what is eternal about others, and the eternal laws that rule the world, just as gravity rules matter. The spiritual laws that rule quality of life. starting to shift what I remember to the eternal, the truth. I'm always remembering something. To remember a true source of attainment. This is the path of a Raj Yogi. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Good evening. Welcome to Interview with the Raj Yogi. Tonight's session is Remembering the Truth. And so for those who are regular students of Raj Yoga, this morning's class was really about the impact, the effect when I remember the truth. But perhaps maybe the first question I'll ask is actually a very sensitive question is, truth. There's your truth, my truth. I think perhaps for someone just walking into this interview, they may not even know what that would mean. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is I agree. It's a sensitive topic. I do appreciate this one definition of truth. I think it helps a lot that the truth is that which is eternal. We even say truth will prevail. I think that's very helpful to sort of screen out what might not be relevant to the truth. Definitely we can confuse these ideas of opinions, interpretations, knowledge, information, fact, and then there's this thing called truth. So it's a really tricky thing. Even when perceiving something in the world, we say objectively or truthfully, we know it's so affected by the lens. We're looking through our own biases. And yet I will be absolutely convinced myself that I am seeing it clearly. So it is a very sensitive topic.
So it's interesting because we're talking about this through the lens of Raja Yoga. And so we're not here to convince anyone. So from that point of view, that's where we'll take this evening's interview. But what I was thinking about is, yes, we are learning about the identity of myself. And there seems to be this common thread, though, that I notice. I'm not sure if you notice. I think souls notice that they're looking for certain elements in their day-to-day lives, love, peace. Perhaps maybe the means in which they try to attain it is one thing. But again and again, and I'm not sharing this about convincing, but again and again, when I hear from so many Raj Yoga students, is that, when they find themselves, just being very grounded in the experience of themselves, it does affect others. And I'm not talking about this conversation about outcomes, is that there's still this one ingredient that souls are looking for if we're going to share about peace. So is there still, maybe may have different perspectives, would you feel that there's still a common thread, though, that at least maybe we can all somehow unite in?
It certainly is a very hopeful vision, but I also think it's a real vision that there is something that unites us all cross-temporally, cross-culturally, that despite all of these differences and even differences that lead to conflict, there is something that unites us as well, that we're all united in seeking. And I think that also might have something to do with truth, is that it would be universal.
So one of the things about tonight's session, and it was a meaningful reflection prior to, but one of the things that I've noticed that when the souls go to a retreat, and you've been to Peace Village, we hear this actually a common thing that happens all the time. I don't know if I'm going to be able to feel what I'm feeling when I go back to the real world. And why I found this topic really interesting, it feels like even for Raja Yoga students, to be able to feel that there is so much benefit when you are staying in the awareness of what you learned. For yourself, do you find that how do you find that trying to, I'm not sure if the word switch gears is the word, that's, through your day to day, to be able to stay in what really matters, given there can be quite a bit of resistance inside, maybe it's outside, but just in light of what souls are mentioning in those retreats.
I think perhaps first it's interesting that souls do have what they perceive as a very pleasant experience at the retreats, and the things that they seem to have been seeking, which is the peace and the lightness and the clarity. They experience them in that atmosphere, and it's just a wonder that we're not experiencing that in our so-called real day-to-day life. So what is our real day-to-day life, and what is the point of it? Which is another idea about truth, is that there's meaning or point connected to truth. So what that suggests is we've constructed this whole other model of attainment. We're trying to get the peace, the lightness, the clarity, but through other means. And perhaps it's through the truth that we experience these, if we can connect those kinds of dots. So I need to go back into my so-called real day-to-day life, knowing that I'm going to be disassembling this huge structure I'd created. And that's maybe where the difficulty or the challenge is, not so much in creating the experience I had in the retreat, but actually in deconstructing this whole other paradigm or structure I had created that may not have been based on the truth, but now has become very familiar and I'm very attached to.
What, in light of just your last sharing here, I was thinking about, you know, for those who've taken the course of already heard a few of these interviews, we often share about the foundation is this, you know, this really going deep into this question of who am I? Do you find that's part of the deconstructing that? Because even sometimes Raja Yoga students are trying to think about some aspects, you know, just, you know, it's everyone's playing their part, and that they could be still struggling, trying to experience the benefits, as you were sharing the reflection, that seems to be at the end, that it seems like it's a challenge to try to feel the benefits, and we might be struggling. But from what I'm learning in Raj Yoga, it should be perhaps maybe a foundation that I'm not paying attention to allow myself to easily feel the benefits of what I'm applying in this study.
I know this might sound ironic or circular, but in part, perhaps we need to look at the self and see, am I truthfully experiencing the truth? We have been truthfully experiencing falsehood, in the sense that falsehood is what is temporal. So we've been very, very truthfully trying to, you know, penetrate these sort of temporal or false aspects, thinking they're the truth. So now that we try to experience the truth, we go about it the same way we did with things that are not eternal. So how to truthfully experience the truth might be a challenge for us, and that's going to create a not great foundation.
There were two aspects in terms of what we're learning this morning I found quite interesting. And one of them was that when I remember the truth, I'm able to really have authority over illusion. That illusion can really affect me. The other aspect I'll share about later, but I was wondering if you can share about this aspect of illusion in terms of the temporal, especially because it's such a sensitive topic about what truth is.
We have invested a lot in the illusions. So, for example, the illusion that I am the body, it's actually a very conflicted concept for us. We kind of embrace it selectively. So when it serves me, I like to think I am the body. And when I find it's in conflict with my core values or attainment, I don't want to think I'm the body anymore. So obviously things around ethics and justice and inclusivity and equality we say, no, 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 don't look at people as the color of their skin. So we're very selective in how we approach these illusions. But nonetheless, even when we don't say it, we still look at people at the color of their skin, even though we're saying it. So we become extremely habituated to this temporary or illusory, what is illusion. So I need to kind of, if I am that habituated, that means I need to be quite intentional in overriding that. The first thing is perhaps I recognize or accept this idea that, okay, we're not the bodies, we're these beautiful beings, these souls. First, even if I'm not feeling it, but do I at least accept it as truth? I mean, there's no, once we accept something as truth, that is what is meaningful source of attainment, then we'll start to invest in that instead and pull out of our other investments. But until I've really embraced it, have full faith in it, it's going to be a challenge for me to be truthful in experiencing the truth.
Do you feel that when through time, when there's a challenging moment, let's say I don't feel it, but I've been studying for a while, it really speaks to me, is that that's where you'd have to really be truthful inside that maybe you're not feeling at that moment. Do you feel that there's power behind just like having such a deep trust of something you felt many times? It's just sometimes, you might feel disconnected.
Yeah, I think one of the most beautiful phrases is at least have the faith that you are a soul, even if you're not feeling it. Have the faith this is true. And I know that by thinking of myself as a body for quite a while, that feeling of being a soul has almost become numb. So I'll have moments when it tingles, when I experience it, moments when it's numb again, and just to really appreciate the process I'm involved in and what's going to happen. But at least I need to constantly maintain that faith. I believe this to be true.
Now, regarding that piece, in terms of what you had shared, one of the things that was reflecting on, but also the impact of remembering the truth in the situation where you can't feel it. But is it possible that one could realize even just the benefit of just trusting that it would, silence the noise in your head? It would, help so that you don't actually feel more anxiety that you're not battling, because that seems to be what happens a lot from just maybe new students or old students, that they're not able to feel it, but they seem to constantly be battling with whatever the resistance is inside. But it seems like an art to be able to remember truth. And a part of the art is also just being able to watch what's going on inside without engaging that. That's also a part of remembering a truth, ironically speaking.
I like this idea of faith, that I recognize this to be true. So when I go to the dentist and they have to do some work on the mouth, so they inject and freeze a part of the mouth. So I actually can't feel it anymore. But I have the faith it's still there. I just can't feel it. And I know that in time, now what if I thought, oh my gosh, I can't feel it, it's fallen off, I don't have half my face, that I just sort of succumb to the numbness and feel that it is the truth. So we talked about understanding a lot, I know, in our last session. I need to understand what this is going to look like. And one of the biggest forms the resistance to truth takes is doubt. And it has a lot of material to work with, because it's numb. So I really have to have that conviction. I deeply believe not only that I am a soul, but that by being a soul, that is the source of human dignity. So I not only recognize it to be true, but I recognize the value of being a soul. Even if I can't feel it, even if it's a little numb, it's been a long time, I'm not going to develop doubt.
So we're talking about the benefit, I guess you could say, in this situation. Have you found that I'm sure we've all been in situations where that kind of resistance come up. Have you found that in time because of practicing that there is just more power, or then there's just less noise, or you see that resistance and you're engaging less and less, so then you have less, I guess, shrapnel to have to deal with afterwards?
You know, whenever someone's going through transitions or transformation or change that they've chosen to embark on, one of the smartest things they do is create a support system. And in some ways, I need to internally create a support system. I need to take that time to create a support system, so that even if I'm not feeling perhaps that I am a soul, to not get anxious, to remain calm is actually helping me to remove the numbness. So I kind of need to have this inner support system, even if I'm not feeling the thing. I am feeling some of the aspects that protect that thing. So really good. We use things like study of knowledge, different lifestyle principles to create a support system to nurture the experience of that thing. So it might be really important to create that so the doubt doesn't wear on us.
In those moments, as you're saying, creating that support system, you're feeling numb and you're moving through it to the best of your capacity, would you feel that you are still progressing?
For us to respond to an old thing in a new way is a huge form of progress. I was talking to a soul today who mm, they have a certain thing that often happens for them. And I'm trying not to give away the details just for out of respect to them. And whenever they do that thing again and again, they have the same response towards themselves. They're upset with themselves. For them to do that thing is, and so the only way they feel they're progressing is if they stop doing that thing. But that's such a deep, that's not a true understanding to have, that we go from zero to perfection. That's just crazy. You know, if someone's doing a body transformation, you know, after all of their life of a certain kind of lifestyle, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a journey. So for me to respond differently to an old dynamic is a sign, actually, I'm becoming soul conscious. So it is a sign of progress, even though the expectations I had of what progress would look like aren't happening, but that I'm responding differently to those expectations not happening is also a sign of progress, if that makes sense. It's really important that I deal with myself in a soul conscious or spiritual way.
Well, I feel that's opened up some other topics in the future in terms of what real progress is. So maybe we will touch on that at another time. But this other aspect that came up, as I was going to share about, was actually that you change, that your character changes, your habits change, and that remembering the truth actually changes your habits, the deep sense of self-transformation. I was wondering if you could share about like how that happens, mainly because when it comes to spirituality, we have like, I'm not sure if we realize sometimes we have really fantastical or grandiose or unrealistic ideas of what that looks like, or maybe even violent ideas.
I really enjoyed the play on words in the class this morning that inspired this talk. It used the word safe, the English word safe. And what are we trying to keep safe is actually our true character. But it also is a play on word with the Hindi word for clean, which is saf. So it's not very glamorous what's going on here with the truth. The truth cleans me. So this change isn't a change into something else, it's a change back into the self. So it's just really, the truth has this incredible capacity to clean. So even say, tell the truth, come clean, which is an extremely liberating experience for the soul to be able to come clean. So that's really all that's going on in terms of that character transformation, is that which is not me is being cleaned away. And the more time I spend with the truth, the more truthful I become. Very simple. And there is incredible happiness and relief. And yes, safety for the soul in coming clean.
Well, I feel that we may need another session, maybe not necessarily particularly about this, but some of the aspects that have come up, because that's huge for souls to even feel that you make progress even though it doesn't seem visible. But even just what truth is, I don't know, it just feels like I look at the original students and the level of maturity they have, and the level of just trusting what's happening on an invisible level, but still being very clear that there is lots happening at an invisible level, seems to be very, very important. But I know that we're running out of time, so we'll have to revisit some of these aspects another time. So we'll have a little reflection.
In some ways, we are all actors in this play of life. Actors in the sense that we perform actions on this world stage. But sometimes, somehow along the way, we become actors in another way, always putting on a show. We put on the show in order to feel safe and secure and valued. But in fact, it moves us in the opposite direction. We start to feel insecure, as if at any moment we'll be exposed as not being valuable. There comes a point in every soul's journey where that act of putting on a show is untenable to the conscience, to the heart, to the mind. And that is a wonderful moment. I'm ready to become a true actor, not one that puts on a show, but one that is truthful. When my actions are true, my heart is happy, my mind is light, my conscience is clear. The healthiest stage of being. So when it might seem the lowest moment, I'm overwhelmed by the structure of show I've created, that might be my breakthrough moment. The sign I'm ready to let go and become true. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Ginny. Thank you for those who've joined online. And so, in terms of upcoming programs, we have the Learn About Meditation on International Day of Peace. So that is at the Academy at 12:15 to 1:30. You don't have to register, but if you want more information, you can check the websites. We also have the Raj Yoga full course in Hindi that's happening starting this coming weekend. It's over 2 weekends, 12 o'clock to 3:30 p.m. at the Inner Peace Center. So registration is required for that. You can find that on Eventbrite as well as the Calgary websites. And then in terms of Raj Yoga in English, that's happening on the Fridays. They switch from Wednesdays to Fridays, and that would be for October on the Fridays, 6:30 to 8 o'clock. Of course, all of the drop-in sessions we have on site at the Inner Peace Center, as well as online through YouTube. So feel free to visit the websites. Thank you for joining. Shanti.